Welcome back for another awesome episode of Off-Road Hub. Today I'm going to be installing storage panels from Orange Boxx Fabrication. 2 rear side panels, 2 front dash panels, and the big rear door panel. It's all heavy-duty steel construction. Powder coating looks great. If you're thinking of ordering these panels for your vehicle, hopefully you can get something out of watching this video and experiencing the installation along with me. I've got my instructions all printed up. They don't send any. After you place your order, then they send you a link to where you can get the instructions. I think I'm going to start with the dash panel install just because it seems the simplest, seems the easiest, so we'll start with that one and then build from there. The installation of the dash panel begins with the removal of the glove compartment, which is really easy to do. All you have to do is squeeze the edges together and it pulls down, and then there's a little strut over on the right hand side and you just pop that off, and then the glove compartment door comes right off. The next step in the instructions says to remove the upper glove compartment. Pull this screw out right here. One screw and it just pops out, which gives us access to this panel up here so that we can get behind here and install the bolts for the panel. So the instructions told me to flip the panel over so that that's contacting the surface, and then use one of their spacers here, I think, to provide a kind of a centering for the panel, and then just hold it there, and we're going to drill 4 holes. I guess that's pretty level. So we're going to drill 4 holes. Yep, I can see the dots to drill, and we're going to use a 1/4 inch drill bit and drill a hole there, 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 and there. Alright, alright, hopefully we got those holes close enough. Alright, so we are going to insert these 4 bolts into these holes here, and this spacer is going to be between the dash and the back of the panel, and then a big washer and a nut go on the other side of the plastic here to hold the panel on. So I'm going to put the bolt through like that, and then put my spacer on, and then stick it through my first hole here. And hopefully I can reach up behind here and get the washer and the nut on. There we go. I'll just install all these finger tight for now. Alright, I got all these 4 bolts and washers on the back installed, just finger tight. This one in this upper right hand corner is almost impossible to do. I took a piece of masking tape and stuck that washer to this plastic back here, so then I could get the nut up there to this. So if, it was almost impossible to get the nut onto the bolt after the washer was on there, because I keep knocking the washer off, and there's no room back behind this one. These Allen heads are a 5mm Allen head, and the nuts on the back are 10mm. So I'll go ahead and tighten those up now. And there we go. It's extremely sturdy, super tight. can't remember what the, or I don't know if they put an exact weight recommendation on this, but it's definitely gonna hold your flashlight, stuff like that, without even thinking about it. So very strong. The next panel I'm installing is going right here next to this one, and so I didn't have any instructions with this one, so I'm gonna have to figure it out. I obviously pulled this off of here. There's a bolt you need to remove through this access right here, and there's a little pin that is in the bottom part right there, and that just pops out from the bottom. It's one of these push pins. You just have to push that center button and it pops out. So on this panel, we'll take this and set it on here just like we did before. Use their spacer as a spacer at the bottom here, so we're at the same level as the big panel. Make sure we're straight. That looks pretty good. We're going to drill a couple holes here. Just like so. Now we'll mount the panel the correct way. I think I see a problem. This washer almost fits up against that plastic. I'll have to trim that a little bit. Let's see. There we go. And tighten that. And tighten that. Looking good. So now we just got to reinstall this panel here. Shouldn't be too hard. There we go. And reconnect that. There we go there. And then just our little plastic push pin there. Make sure it's like that so you can stick it in and push that back in. Down to the bottom here. Make sure on this upper part of the glove compartment you really pay attention to how you reinstall it and make sure this is lined up. There's this big metal clip that clips onto the plastic here, and then make sure you get your screw back in the front. So from here it's just as easy as putting your glove compartment door back on. Just get these bottom tabs lined up with the hinge point at the bottom, and then just like that, and then just pick up the door. It's gonna pop in. Get your little cylinder over here hooked back up. Make sure everything's in place. And there we go. Panel's installed. Glove compartment back in. And it's just that easy. So next I'm going to be installing this side panel here, which retains access to your storage right there, which is nice. The first step, I'm pretty sure, is to remove these plastic tie downs. The instructions on this panel installation are a little lackluster, but I think I can figure it out because we're just bolting a panel to the side there. Can't be that hard. I know we're going to have to remove this coat hook, so I might as well do it now. There we go. Next I'm going to install this bracket on top of the panel here. This is what's going to bolt into the coat hook that I removed. Notice it goes outward. The bracket, that is. Next we got to install these little legs, as they're called. They are different lengths on the bottom of the panel, and they're just going to go up against the plastic, I believe. I don't know yet, but the short one goes on the right side as the panel's facing you, and then the other leg is going to go right here, I guess. The legs don't apparently have very good threads in them, so don't over tighten them. I guess that works. It's gonna sit up there, so the legs look like that. So finally, we're just gonna take our spacers, our big spacers that go to our main connection points with our big long bolt. That goes through here. Start that by hand, of course, making sure not to cross thread it. Maybe tighten down a little bit. And then we'll take our coat hook and put that back in place. I'm just going to go ahead and tighten this one now. And then I'll tighten up these ones. There we go. So now I just need to tighten up these two bolts that connected this bracket to the panel. And again, they're just 10mm nut and 5mm Allen head. There we go. Super strong. Should be able to hang some stuff on there, no problem. You can see these legs are just kind of there as a spacer. And then these spacers, of course, on the bolts, and then your connection up top. So, feels pretty strong. All right, installation on the other side is going to be exactly the same. Remove these, remove that, put the bracket on top of the panel, and then your two legs down here just as extra support. Exactly the same as the other side. There it is, just like the other side. Bracket facing out, going to the coat hook. 2 bolts there. Bolt and a spacer. Bolt and a spacer. One difference is that on this side, only the short leg fit. This leg doesn't fit back here at all. So it's not really load bearing, I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna really make any difference, but it definitely doesn't fit back there. Last but not least, the back door panel. We have to replace these plastic nuts with some metal clips. These clips will be much stronger than those plastic things. There's 3 shorter spacers and 5 slightly longer spacers. So there are 8 holes in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I've got 8 spacers, nuts and washers. I just don't know where the short ones go and where the long ones go. So either the door panel isn't symmetrical or this isn't symmetrical, because this hole is in a different place in relation to where the panel dips down than on this side. It just doesn't really make any sense at all. And it's not lined up, it's not centered with the door panel. Nothing lines up. And these different height spacers make no sense in relation to where this panel sits in relation to the door panel, because these longer spacers don't even come close to being tall enough to fit, to create a spacer in here. Not even close. So I'm installing the Orange Boxx Fabrication back door panel that is meant to have a toolbox in the back, so it sits a little bit higher up on the door. Orange Boxx doesn't send out these kits as often as the normal ones that just sit lower. And so I was having trouble getting those spacers lined up, and I wasn't going crazy. It turns out they just sent me the wrong hardware kit. So I talked to them on the phone, and they sent me some spacers that I think should work better. Okay, so this is as simple as the other ones. I've got my spacers lined up. Everything's lined up. So now I just need to drill these, let's see, eight holes, and then put the bolt and then the washer nut in, and it'll hold the whole thing in place. All right, truth be told, none of this hardware works. None of the bolts are long enough. The fact is that after talking to Orange Boxx, it's clear that they've never test installed one of these panels that's meant for the toolbox that sits up higher on the door. None of the design works. I'm gonna have to go and just buy longer bolts and figure this out because they didn't. I got the panel bolted on after a trip to the hardware for some longer bolts. Hopefully, since this washer doesn't sit on a flat surface, it's not going to damage the plastic over the long term. These two outside ones, the hole on the panel probably needs to be moved out a little further so it's sitting on the flat plastic. But I think it'll probably be okay. There's styrofoam here, and there was styrofoam over here, and I had to remove that and shave some plastic here to get this washer in there. But I think it'll work just fine. Just took some extra effort and trips to the hardware, but I think it'll look good when I'm finally done. All right, I finally got it on. I think it looks really good, and just like the other panels, it's on very securely, no rattle, nice and tight. It should hold quite a bit. Well, that wraps up the installation of all these Orange Boxx Fabrication panels. In the end, they all look good and they all feel very strong. All of them except for this back door panel went pretty smoothly. This back door panel again is a little different than what most people order. This one is raised up so that there's room for you to close the door for a toolbox being in your back. I just wanted it higher so that if there were things in the back, I could still close the door and still have things on here. They don't sell as many of these, and clearly they haven't done enough homework on this particular panel. Everything else was great, and this one ended up being just fine. I hope you enjoyed watching this installation today. If you order some Orange Boxx panels, you can kind of see how installation went for me, and it's going to be the same system with the bolts and washers on either side of plastic. I'm sure all of their systems are the same no matter what vehicle it is. So that's what it is, and I look forward to be able to store things on these panels rather than on the floor of the vehicle, in the storage area, the normal storage area of the vehicle. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give me a subscribe, give me a like, give me a comment, anything like that. And we'll see you next time.